A lovely good morning. It is yet another Wednesday edition of the Camnet Breakfast Show with me, Patrick Soko, and Marco Cozy. A lovely morning it is, Cozy.
Yes, it is a beautiful morning and we are happy to be here. We are happy that you, our viewers, have chosen channel 274 on DSTV, channel 25 on God TV, and also on Topstar we are on channel 106. Now remember that you can also get interactive with us on our YouTube channel, which is Camnet TV, and also our Facebook page, which is Camnet TV. So those are the platforms that we are broadcasting to you live this morning. Patrick.
Interesting. So to just get started this morning on the breakfast show, we'll go straight to our first segment, which is the Health Corner. So keep it on Camnet TV because we have a fully packed program just for you, our dear viewers.
Good morning, viewers. Welcome to the Health Corner on the Breakfast Show. Thank you so much for joining me today. I am Dr. Namunji Matale, the Public Health Chairperson for Resident Doctors Association, UTH branch, and today's topic is screening and knowing your sickle cell disease status. This week is World Sickle Cell Week, in which we'll be commemorating World Sickle Cell Day, which was on 19th June, and we'll continue to celebrate and discuss the topic of sickle cell throughout this week. So today we're focusing on screening and knowing your sickle cell status. This comes from the 2023 theme for commemorating World Sickle Cell Day. I'll just give you a recap. The theme is strengthening sickle cell disease communities globally, formalizing newborn screening, and knowing your sickle cell status. So you might wonder, why should we screen people, or why should people know their sickle cell status? So like we mentioned in the earlier episodes, which if you missed out on, you should catch up on, sickle cell disease and sickle cell anemia are very common, especially in our country, in that 1 in 5 people have the sickle cell gene, or the sickle cell, or are sickle cell carriers, sorry about that. And also it's a very common condition which, if left untreated, can be very debilitating, and one can have a very poor quality of life. So there's so many complications associated with sickle cell anemia, and if caught early, these conditions or complications can be managed a lot better. So we have the newborn screening program in Zambia. It was launched about 3 or 4 years ago by the Ministry of Health, and it is being carried out at UTH, or University Teaching Hospitals in Lusaka, as well as Ndola Teaching Hospital. And there are actually a number of NEMA accredited laboratories which are able to do the same screening. So make sure you register for NEMA as well. So a baby as young as 3 months old can be screened for sickle cell disease, or sickle cell anemia in particular. And the reason why it's important for us to formalize sickle cell screening is because, one, it's very common in our population. It's very common in sub-Saharan Africa, South America, and Asia. And also we want to catch it early so that we get to counsel the parents on the lifelong management of this condition. We can get the child on the appropriate treatment as early as possible, and also just give or improve someone's quality of life. And then the importance of knowing your sickle cell status is that as an adult, you can't know if you are a carrier, because most of the time in carrier state, you won't have the complications that a sickle cell anemia patient actually has. You won't have the same crisis that they have. You won't have the recurrent chest infections that they have. You might not show up with a stroke like a sickle cell anemia patient might, because when you are in a carrier state, your normal hemoglobin genes take over, so you're kind of safer than a person who has both faulty hemoglobin genes inherited from their parents. So that's the importance of you knowing your sickle cell disease status. There's several NEMA accredited labs that are doing the screening, the HB electrophoresis. So make sure if you're on NEMA, you can get yourself to a NEMA accredited hospital. You explain to your healthcare provider that you want to screen for it because you know that 1 in 5 Zambians is actually a carrier of sickle cell disease, or it's in a carrier state. So take home message for today is, 1, we need to formalize newborn screening. We need to make it a routine thing that we do with every newborn that is born, whether in this country or on a global front, especially in areas where it's common, like we mentioned earlier, sub-Saharan Africa, South America, and some parts of Asia. But let's remember, with globalization, or us being a global village, people migrate. Today you're living in Lusaka, tomorrow you're living in Tokyo. Today you're in Tokyo, tomorrow you're living in Toronto. So it's not just limited to the 3 geographical areas that I mentioned. As long as you have ancestors who are South American, who are sub-Saharan African, or of Asian descent, especially South Asia, best believe that you could be a carrier of the sickle cell gene, or you could have carrier state yourself. So that's the importance of screening. Don't limit yourself to say, oh no, I live in this part of the world, but remember where your ancestors come from. So it's important for you to screen. Also, when it comes to even choosing a life partner, if you know that you have a life partner who you want to spend the rest of your life with, it's important for both of you to go for screening for your sickle cell disease status, so that you know whether you are at risk of having children who will inherit both genes from you and your partner, and in turn have sickle cell anemia. Like I said, sickle cell anemia, if left unmanaged, can be a very debilitating condition, which stresses the importance of screening. And don't wait to have a lifetime partner for you to go for screening. Even if you are a single person, as long as you're an adult, and especially if you're of Zambian origin or you come from any of the regions that we've talked about, it's important for you to know your sickle cell disease status and get screened. Tomorrow we're going to delve into the topic a little bit more, but away from screening and newborn screening. But take home message today, we need to do our part in formalizing screening for newborns so that it's caught early. And also, we as adults need to know our sickle cell disease status so that we know whether we're at risk of passing on the gene to our future children and future generations. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode. We hope to see you tomorrow as we continue with the topic.
Interesting conversations we were listening to, and we had to talk about it in the background, Makokwa and I, because it is just an interesting topic we had pertaining to sickle cell, and we got to know a lot of things.
Yes.
This morning, Cozy, and the doctors just elaborate in terms of how you can be a carrier, and in terms of the continents you may find yourself in, or the part of the region of this world you find yourself in, can also represent that you may be a carrier, and that should be 5 in how many people?
1 in every 5 Zambians is
a carrier. Yeah.
That statistic really got me worked up. Those are huge numbers.
Exactly, you're right. They are huge numbers.
Sure.
Yeah. Let's also look at our next segment. We understand how the kwacha is performing against other major convertibles, so that we know how are we trading against the dollar, the euro, the rand, and the Greater British pound. So let's start with the Greater British pound, which is buying at 22 kwacha 02 ngwe and selling at 22 kwacha 45 ngwe. The $1 is buying at 17 kwacha 280 ngwe and selling at 17 kwacha 62 ngwe. The euro is buying at 18 kwacha 87 ngwe and selling at 19 kwacha 24 ngwe. The South African rand is selling at 0.94 ngwe and selling at 0.960 ngwe. Now my interest is on the US dollar against the kwacha. There it has gone to 17 kwacha 280 ngwe in terms of the buying aspect, and on the selling side it is on 17 kwacha 62 ngwe. Interesting enough, because you and I last week were reading quite some figures we were not pleased with. We were talking about 19, sure, and we are on 17. Yeah, quite interesting.
Yeah, we hope that the kwacha continues to gain against these major convertibles, and we hope that we get a bit of some stability now. The issue of fluctuating from 19, as you said, back to 17, tomorrow again back to 20. I think there is need, I don't know what can be done, as I usually say, to have the kwacha be a little bit stable.
Yeah, there are quite some, we are yet to engage our economic analyst, but we can also dwell on the historical context of the kwacha and how it has been performing. First of all, we are looking at the previous quarter. We were briefed that because most of the companies were making statutory obligations and that they were on time in terms of paying taxes and everything. So there was quite a good circulation of the dollar in the economy, and that also translated into a better performance of the kwacha. Now, we also had indicators that the Bank of Zambia and the Ministry of Finance, they have also been making sure that they stick to the guidelines of the 2023 national budget. On the other side, the Bank of Zambia has been making sure that they stabilize the kwacha by probably, most probably they have been increasing the monetary policy rate. That's the limitation of at which money has been lent. They have to banks, so they have been working with the policy rate to regulate the inflation issues. They have also been using the aspect of offloading dollars on the market to make sure that it just cushions the kwacha. Now, so we are. I'm sure most of these measures are the ones being put in place to make sure that there's that traction. But also, we can also not run away from the goodwill on the part of the economic sentiments. There has been a good sentiment in terms of the investor, and that people are willing to invest in the local economy because of the stability. I know, in as much as we may have some here and there some political issues, but it is not as tense as other countries. They may have political instability, because politically the country overall is stable, pertaining to, if you look at various aspects that determine the country's status. So Zambia becomes a good economic destination, and that also reflects on how the Zambia Development Agency indicated an increase pertaining to investment pledges. So it shows you that people are more willing to just invest in this country. And we just call on more people to continue investing in this country, because at the end of the day, we know that a good fortunes for this country translate into the benefit of each and every Zambian. So we can only wish that the government leaders continue to do what is necessary to make sure that this economy works for everyone. Everyone, I mean the business community, I mean those ordinary traders at Soweto market, that marketeer who wakes up early in the morning to just go and order tomato. They should be able to have their business and sell their merchandise accordingly. And those are the issues we're talking about when we are calling on the government to make sure that things work for everyone. And if they continue doing that, if everyone else is able to benefit within their means, it means that consequently, the country will be well off and will benefit and will be happy, because let me tell you something, because if this economy is not working, you and I won't be spared. So it means that everything else everyone else is going to be affected. So it is always our prayer that things work out for the best of this economy, because ultimately this is our country, and we have to make sure that our country is functioning accordingly and be able to be a better place for everyone else to live in. Talking about a better place for everyone to live in, it reminds me of us making sure that we work on the issue of security, because security concerns are also eminent. We see that in various localities we are continuing to discuss this issue pertaining to junkies, though the police have been doing their job to make sure that they conduct raids and arrest these suspects. But overall, there's a sustainable way we need to put this matter to rest. What do you think about this issue?
The issue of junkies is a very critical issue in most of the townships that we come from. And I've always thought that the community at large has a huge role. We have a huge role to play as community members in curbing this particular problem. Because you see, as community members, we stay in this community and we know these children, we know these guys, we know these people where they are found. So I think that we are in a position as community members to help the police in trying to clean up our communities. Some time back, we used to have what we used to call neighborhood watch. I don't know if these are still operational in our communities now. I think those also can help in apprehending these people and taking them to the relevant authorities, the police in this case, and making sure that also we take care of our children in our homes. If a child is 15, nowadays they go up to 13 now.
Yes, you are right.
If your child is 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, I think you must monitor as a guardian, monitor these children. What is he doing at what time? Where is he at 17 hours? Where is he at 14 hours? What is it? What kind of people is he mingling with? And which areas is he found? Because nowadays there are areas in our communities that we know that area, I think those guys that are found there are abusing drugs. This area, I think. So if you hear that your child is in that area, you need to take action first and speak to them. Sit them down, tell them, look, this route that you are taking is not the correct route. People have died, it is illegal, you will go to prison and stuff like that. So we have a huge responsibility as community members in trying to help and stop this issue of junkies. It is rising at a very, very scary pace. This morning, as I was coming, I shared with you, I witnessed two gentlemen who attacked a man who seemingly was going for work or for orders or something like that on a bicycle. They just pushed him off his bike. One is picking the bike, one is jumping on the back of the bike, and just like that, they disappeared with the bicycle. So I think that we now know that it is that particular position where this accident happened. So we need to report to the police and say, no, I think around this area, around this time, there are some suspected guys that are found here who I think are not...
I recommend you should report yourself.
Yeah, I'll take up the challenge.
Yes, I recommend that you report, because you're just encouraging us as community members to be getting involved. So you start by getting involved by even alerting Bwana Amonga that Bwana, this place so. I think mark it as amongst those areas that are unsafe, so that need police attention.
But we also understand that sometimes, as we were discussing as we were coming, sometimes police do not have manpower. Sometimes the police do not have resources to conduct these raids. So that is why, as community members, we really need to take
but like you say, police may not have manpower, and also, for example, others challenges like transport may come in, logistic. That's where then the cooperation between the police and the and the members of the public comes in, because if you are organized in a community, it means that each one can contribute something to say, okay, we want to make sure as the police officers conduct this operation, we want to complement, okay, manpower. Those who are able to help the police in the operation can join in. They can be oriented and be part and parcel of the neighborhood watch groups, and others can also contribute to say this vehicle for the police probably needs fuel. Let us contribute. We make sure that we clean up the community. Now that way, then it means that you are working in tandem with the police and to restore sanity in the community. But again, what I see is that there has been a little discourse between members of the general public themselves and the police. So sometimes the people may not understand the role of the police, and they may tend to be at loggerheads at the police, because every time tell me you cause the time you are interfacing with the police, it's maybe when you are faced with a crime, you have committed a crime, or you are going to rescue someone, or yourself you have been arrested by the traffic police, and you are trying to. Those are the times when you encounter, you interface with the police. But little did we take time, like for example, we were advised, for example, by the public relations unit, you should take interest and know who is in charge of the police station. For example, who is the head of the police in Chawama. You are not aware of
no,
of
I'll
that
take
man.
it upon myself to make sure that I visit Chawama police.
So you
find out who is in charge of traffic, who is in charge, who is the overall boss at Chawama police.
Exactly.
No, I'll take it upon myself.
Because sometimes when you go, the officer in charge. The officer in charge, you can explain to say, but I've observed that there are these issues in our community. Have you taken an interest? So, sometimes the officer in charge may not be briefed about the nitty-gritties of what is happening in the communities. But you, as a member of the community, you may bring it to his attention. And when he's addressing his troops, you tell them to say, actually, I've been receiving information from members of the community that there hasn't been enough response from our side. What do we do? How do we cooperate with the police? Sometimes those meetings are important, where the community just engages with the police at a community hall, where they explain, say, this is our role. And because people think that the role of the police is just arresting and slapping people, you understand? So because they just think every time you are meeting the police, it says that you have committed a crime. But no, you can go to the police and just familiarize yourself with what they do. There's also a department under the victim support unit. You need to know various domestic issues, because these issues pertaining to junkies are emanating from family issues, where probably you failed to raise this child properly. How the victim support unit can assist you to be able to just make sure that you are able to acclimatize and just say, no, Mdala, how you can keep your child or take care of your child is that you can in fact engage with Drug Enforcement Commission. They can help you provide counseling. But parents, some parents are not aware, because that they can receive such attention and help from the police. They just think you go in pa police in kutenga kakola uti, kuenda kulembesa muntu, kuenda kupeleka vakudya. No, police is beyond that. Besides the police under this administration, from what we heard, according to their reforms which they are working on, it's a police that has to be a friendly police to the community, not a police that one that was fighting. Is it cats? How do you call it? Cats and dogs? No, it's not. The police. It has to be the friend of the community. That's according to one of the statements by President Ichirem.
So the police is now a police service and not a police force. And I think that even the police officers themselves should change the way they carry themselves. They should not always want to show like it is always a fact, or it's a matter of arresting you and putting you in police cells. We must get to a point where they find you in the night. What do you call that? Shishita. Then they take you home. Say, no, here where you are standing is not a good place. What are you doing here? No, nachukela kumaliro. Uenda kuti nenda let's go jump in the car. Nikutukua niukoke pa nyumbani hapa. It's not safe for you to be walking in the night. So if you are coming from Maliro book yango or something like that, don't walk. It is dangerous for you. You advise a person. Not all the time you find the person You don't even ask where they're coming from.
Yeah,
You
understand.
So I think there's need for engagement. Really.
So let's see, like our job. But I understand on our part, usually we usually around. Sometimes we knock off late around 22 hours. You're just dropped. Then as you head home, just because then you just bump into them. What you get about it?
Ima. And then they throw you in the Land Cruiser.
But you're already almost so by the time you're producing the ideas and everything, you are inside. The time it is in the morning. And not So let's get interacting, our dear viewers. You are watching the Camnet Breakfast Show with me, Patrick Soko, and Marco Kwakozi, and we were looking at the health corner. After that, we had a conversation pertaining to security issues in communities, pertaining to the issue that is topical in the nation of junkies. And now we are going to be zooming in some of the stories that are making the headlines on the Camnet main news. And you too, our dear viewers, in case you want to give us your perspectives on these stories and whatever we are discussing this morning, you can do so. The number is on your screen. You can reach us via the 0968 number, as well as our 097 number, and we can get interacting this morning on the Camnet Breakfast Show. And just now we're looking at one of the interesting stories. This is a story pertaining to sanitation, and sad enough, this is the Central Business District of Lusaka. Now let me read out this story. It reads, traders at the Pepper Branch Market in Lusaka have alleged that the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development has failed to address the challenge of overflowing sewer, which is posing serious health risks to them. Some traders are spoken to complained that the businesses have been negatively affected due to sewer, adding that the Ministry of Local Government and the Lusaka City Council have on several occasions visited the area but have not provided any solution. Meanwhile, Market Youth Chairman Nyabinda Piri has called on the government to consider engaging a Chinese company to work on the entire sewer line in the market area. So let's get to zoom in this story. We'll be back on the other side.
For once, one may mistake this to a broken water pipe, but alas, it is an overflowing sewer system that has become a new normal for over 50 businesses and shops at Pepper Branch in Lusaka Central Business District near Munyaule Market. For over 6 years, this sewer has been overflowing in this part of the Central Business District because some shops have allegedly been built on top of the sewer line, which has now resulted in the overflow of the sewer. Some of the street vendors spoken to have complained that they have continued to trade under very difficult circumstances because they have no other trading spaces, hence calling on the government to urgently address the situation before a life can be lost due to the risk that comes with sewer.
Papiwa pamene apa kuti vajumbe vaendeko vakakwereko mabhasi chifukwa cha suwa. Ero manje vimanzi vikangena manje matuvu peza yasalirira tiyambotapa manzi kwambogula manzi enangu futi kutila manje kukwesha na safu kuti suwa ingene kuti tinkaleko bwino kuti tiguliseko bwino awe tavutika na suwa iyi. Government tiyanganireko twapenga matuza yazwa.
Pamwe bantu everyday kula fuma fyeru chero echunguro tuli affected tatuletantika tatweshisha bwino makastoma butuka bareti no kusa mugushita ngamwalolesha konso kukulifya masuwa masoso kamba last week this week ile fuma fye fifine takuli kutantika kubutuka mwafiro kutantika esa mulona ishile mu 2020 nalisa nge fifine suwa nishira fuma fye fifine bapita limo batusonkesha kwa mpia sio tusange solution but tapadi file chitika tuachura mwandi so apa kuchero kuisa olo watantula bwangu bantu nga waisa ruchero wasanga suwa na ingira ponsa hapa tapala hapa kutantika wambo kufanya menshi muitirepo ichunguro ngafika 16 futi fyambo kufumanisha wambo kutantrola 16 hours zero ba customer besa.
Meanwhile, Market Youth Chairman Nyavinda Piri says the Minister of Local Government and Rural Development, Garin Kombo, had visited the area before and is very much aware of the situation, yet no urgent solution has been communicated.
Suwa yamene yana boko yamene siya pezeka solution. Na nkobwereka kwa bwera kwa local government yamene siya peza solution. Wabwera ma local government pana solution stima iona. Because disease ichoka muri yamene ya masuwa. Because wantu wapezeka pa press yamene ichosa masuwa. So disease imachoka muri yamene ya masuwa.
He has since called on the office of the Vice President under the Disaster Management and Mitigation Unit DMMU to treat the matter as an urgent public emergency in order to find a lasting solution to the problem.
Tingafuneko yako bati ama Chinese aba wakaunda square waisa mkutubombera ko maybe private company yamene ngakwanise ko kusebenza yakwe bati yabwera yako yachitako challenge amasuwa yali pano. Because trading place yamene tili nayo pano ni pamene pasenzera abantu. So trading place pesa kafuti chosa matuvi, which means wantu wazangala affect na matuvi yamene yachoka msuwa. Hii suwa yangala almost 10 years. Government wamabwera ma local government kuboro checking aswa machitapo vili vonse. So that's why nakambako maybe ma Chinese wamene wanapezeka ku Kaunda Square wanasenzera ku Kaunda Square yako ati masuwa yasi ya kuchoka.
Meanwhile, the Lusaka City Council Public Health Department is yet to respond to this matter, while trading under very difficult circumstances continues for these Lusaka businesses. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
There you have it. You are still watching the Camnet Breakfast Show. We were looking at that interesting story. I hope you did manage to get that story there by Prudence Chota. Interesting story in that this is the central business district of Lusaka, Zambia's capital city. Now, we are having challenges of sewer overflow even at this time and I think we need to be serious as a country. That reminds me of the local government association. We had a story there, I'm sure you have it, the local government association of Zambia. The way we'll play this story next so that we can also get the perspective of the Ministry of the Local Government Service Commission. Because if you look at that, that's an element of negligent.
The marketeers there are claiming, according to the youth chairman, he claims that that problem has been for the past 10 years.
Yes.
Officials from the Ministry of Local Government go there and just see the problem and go back and don't do anything about it. This is a central business district. This is a marketplace. People are selling merchandise at this particular. They claim that when they come in the morning, they will have to clean nasafu titirapo manzi so that at least it's either you come late when the sewer has at least flowed to other areas, or you have to leave earlier because around 16 the sewer again starts coming. I think this problem cannot, under normal circumstances, I think you can't allow such a problem to run for 2 months.
Yeah, so for me, it also tells you to say that the network that the Lusaka Water and Sanitation had come up with for sewer, it has outlived its usefulness. Now, it tells you that Zambia's population has also been on the rise. It explains that even service provision is on a higher side in terms of the demand, because more people now are using the limited sewer network that we have. So it means this sewer system is choking because it cannot contain the pressure.
Sure.
No wonder it is now breathing in the environment. So because if this sewer was manageable, it would have been following its normal channel. You understand? So we also have issues pertaining to dilapidated infrastructure. So how long has that network been there? So it might have outlived its usefulness. So now these are the consequences that are happening. But who is supposed to work on this? So now, according to my knowledge, the Lusaka Water and Sanitation Company have to address this issue. But just like every other aspect in the city, the Lusaka City Council is a shareholder of the Lusaka Water and Sanitation Company. They work in tandem, and that is also their baby because they are the owners of the city. So now, what are they doing about it now? If you look, I know those traders who are there, they are vendors. But those are also paying, they are paying to the councils again. If you go there, you will find that they are paying to councils. But for what service are they paying? Where are they paying for? So now, if you look at those, there are shops there. They are all tenants of the Lusaka Lusaka City Council, in that they have to pay taxes to the Lusaka City Council. You see, cause and those who are also using the network, they are paying for the services for sewer to the Lusaka Water and Sanitation Company. Now, what service is there to pay for with that such an inconvenience?
I think that's a very good question, because you see, as a local authority, they are paid to ensure they get those taxes to ensure that they provide services to the people in that particular area. So now, if we are paying as marketeers to you, and we are trading in a place where sewer is all over, I think that's a big problem. For me, this problem is not supposed to run for a month. As the moment the problem has been noticed, something has to be done about it. This is, you said when we were off air, that this is a very good breeding ground for waterborne diseases, typhoid, cholera. If we get into the rainy season with that particular situation, traders will have to stop trading from there. Otherwise, there will be a huge risk of them getting these waterborne diseases.
Because you can imagine, everyone will step in there. We are carrying the germs there, so we are taking them all over. We are going in shops, wherever you are visiting, you are carrying them on your food. So now what happens now? We are spreading diseases everywhere. So now we may be faced with a very deadly pandemic, such as cholera and typhoid itself, because cholera is not a good disease. And we were just talking about issues pertaining to cholera in our neighboring country, Malawi, and you see. Soon we'll be getting to the rainy season. Now, imagine that sewer overflow and mixing with rainwater, and rainwater moves, you know, and you can imagine if we have, for example, a pipe leakages there, and they are contaminating with that sewer overflow. That's something we need to pay attention to, and it needs the urgent attention from the authorities that need to address this issue. In case you want to give us your perspective on that story, you can do so and give us that call, and we get interacting. You can still leave us a message on our social media platform and tell us where you are watching us from, and also share with us your issues that are happening in your community on our social media platform, being Facebook as well as YouTube. And we are also now on TikTok as Camnet TV. You can go there and also follow us, because we also provide good information there in terms of current affairs, so that you do not miss out on TikTok. In as much as there are a lot of jokes on TikTok, we give you serious business there, in that we get you informed of what is happening in the country. So let's get interacting on those social media platforms. Also on Twitter, you can find Camnet TV. And just now, also look at another story coming from the Local Government Service Commission, where the commission has bemoaned the high levels of pufferage in local authorities in the country. Commission Chairperson Akson Sejani says that the commission says this has led to underperformance of local authorities in the provision of services. Mr. Sejani says that the commission has since introduced a performance appraisal system in the utilization of the Constituency Development Fund (CDF) by the local authorities, adding that this will be a catalyst to changing the weak attitude for council officers. So let's get to look at that story. We'll be back on the other side.
While controversy continues to surround local councils in the country, the Local Government Service Commission has disclosed that about 10 people are fired every month on average by the Commission from councils across the country for fraudulent activities. Speaking to journalists Tuesday, 20th June 2023, Commission Chairperson Akson Sejan says unmitigated pilferage of revenue by some officers in the local authorities is depriving the councils the much-needed revenue resulting in non-payment of workers. The chairperson says the commission is working towards addressing factors contributing to the non-payment of council workers.
Perhaps the top management are not doing their job to ensure that we enhance on revenue collection. We put in measures that enhances revenue collection. Why are we still digitizing? Why can't we digitize? Why are we still handling cash in this day and age? What is it? Why are we resisting to digitize? Is it because some people got vested interest? We are literally firing, 10 people every month because of.
Mr. Sejan says the Commission has come up with the annual appraisal assessment form to include the utilization of the Constituency Development Fund CDF component. The annual appraisal assessment has been reduced from 1 year to 6 months to ensure the effective implementation of projects. The chairperson has challenged all principal officers in the council countrywide to ensure no underperformance of council workers or risk sanctions.
We must begin to de-emphasize reliance on local government equalization fund. We must emphasize revenue that we collect from within. And a town like Lusaka, if you fail, whatever the cause of the failure is, if there's no justifiable reason.
Meanwhile, Mr. Sejan has challenged the Lusaka City Council to submit its proposals on how it will restore sanity in the Central Business District.
What sort of work plans has Lusaka City Council deposited with the council in terms of revenue collection, in terms of keeping Lusaka clean? What is your target in the next 6 months? You have to say it. In the next 6 months, there will be that heap at this Michael Center or PH market. That heap will be removed. That lack of sewage will have been sorted out in 6 months. Deposited with the secretary.
While the annual appraisal assessment for councils is progressive, one hopes it will be effectively implemented in addressing the poor performance of councils in the country. Nelson Zulu for Camnet News, Lusaka.
The state seeks to take possession of the 15 flats located in Lusaka State Lodge area belonging to the former Lady Esther Lungu. According to a notice of motion, the Director of Public Prosecution, DPP, has requested the Specialized Economic and Financial Crimes High Court Division to grant the state permission that will allow the said properties to be forfeited to the state as they are deemed to be proceeds of crime. In an affidavit filed by Emmanuel Nkondwe, a senior investigations officer, he alleges that the said 15 flats that belong to the former lady are deemed to be proceeds of crime as there is no income to justify the estimated value of construction. On the 26th of July 2022, the former First Lady was summoned at DEC offices for questioning in relation to the said properties. This was following the move by the Commission on the 1st of July 2022 to repossess the properties for allegedly being proceeds of crime. According to Mr. Kondwe, who operates under the anti-money laundering investigations at DEC, states that in May 2022, the Commission got a tip that there was property in State Lodge area suspected to be proceeds of crime, and after investigation, it was discovered that the properties belonged to the former First Lady. Submissions before court has also revealed that further investigation by the senior DEC investigations officer established that the property cost over 41 million kwacha. Mr. Kondwe says during his investigations, he conducted an analysis of a non-income and non-expenditure for the period of 1st August 2012 to the 16th of August 2022. Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Thank you for still staying with us on the Camnet Breakfast Show, Wednesday edition, governance, policy and politics. And we're looking at some of the stories that were making the headlines in the main news on Camnet TV. Just right now, we've been joined by our guest of the day, who is the Patriotic Front Media Director, Mr. Edwin Lifwekelo. Welcome to the program, sir.
I'm so grateful to be in your studio this morning. And I'm happy to see you after a long time. And my brother here, we haven't met in a long time, so I'm so grateful for the opportunity.
Indeed. Yes, we'll continue discussing national matters. And Mr. Fekelo, our topic of discussion today is focusing on, is it the rule of law or political persecution? First of all, I'll start with you from the Patriotic Front side. You have been claiming that there has been a lot of political persecution, especially on the part of, especially your members, in that you feel that they are being arrested with impunity or with the view of punishing them. How do you justify that perspective?
Let me say that as a political party, indeed, that there have been assertions by the party, and these assertions profoundly are true. We feel from where we are standing that a number of our members, in particular those that are being arrested with impunity, arbitrarily by the government, generally, for a lack of a better term, being persecuted. We are aware that a number of people that could have been found wanting. Yes, some people have argued that PF members seemingly, in particular those that served in the previous government, are being followed by the police and being persecuted because they are the ones that were in government. So that has been the argument from our brothers, those that are in the ruling party. But ideally, I think that it is clear in the minds of the people, and including those that are being summoned to appear at police stations, being detained. Remember, when President Hakainde Hichilema came into office, he made the pronouncement that insofar as he is concerned, his government, the UPND government, were going to govern by the rule of law. And he made an undertaking that no one will be brought or will be arrested without investigation. We are seeing the opposite. People are being summoned. In fact, now the issue of call-outs, remember there used to be the issue of call-out, which is basically one of those rules of natural justice, that when somebody wants you to appear at the police, in my time, or in our time, a police officer would draft a call-out to ask you to come to appear either at police headquarters or at Central Police, generally to facilitate for investigations. Those rules have changed now. The dynamics have changed under UPND. People are abducted. People are just picked from markets, supermarkets, car washes. They're picked. I think that in itself, in our view, is persecution. Because if you have found me wanting, or there is an issue that you want to find out from me, ideally the normal procedure is that you send me a call out and ask me to come and appear. Only when I resist that call out, that's when you can take such kind of an action where you have to abduct individuals and drag me vehicles. So basically that's where we're coming from. That our members, and mind you, it's not the end of the story. There are many, many more persecutions that are coming. I can tell you that now, maybe breaking news, that there are a number of our people that have been targeted to be arrested as I'm speaking now. I can mention and preempt that we are aware that the police wants to pick Honorable Kampiongo. By yesterday we got that information. They want to pick him on allegations that he's being implicated on issues of gassing. We are aware, because we are on top of things. We are aware that our chairman, national chairman Chama, there's a ploy to pick him. He might be picked anytime. We are aware that our member Godfrey Waliamwamba, there is a ploy to pick him anytime. So I want to tell the public out there that yes, insofar as we are crying that our members are being persecuted, there are many more that are being caught. Yes, we have no problem with anyone being summoned, but the idea of summoning someone without conclusive investigations, I think that is ultra-various with the Republican Constitution. We expect people, when they are picked, there's already evidence. And we have seen the drama. You know what normally happens. People are picked with so much drama. Officers armed, they will come and pick you. They will come, then they detain you. Days actually beyond the normal rules of natural justice, according to our Constitution. But ideally, people are kept. Right now, there are a number of people that are in the cells. A good example is Mwamba himself, Emmanuel, and he was recently released on bail. There's another young man was researched. Woman was put into the cells at the same time with Mwamba and Andy by the name of Tom. He's still there. 10 days after that drama, he's still there. But what do we see at the end of the day? Even when the police do the drama and pick people, transport them from Lusaka to Shiwangandu in the night at the back of the van, the whole night, the next morning the bond is signed and they come back. Just imagine the cost of fuel, the cost of assembling just the police themselves to undertake such an exercise.
Like in the case of the recent issue pertaining to Mr. Mwamba, there are allegations that the PF is spreading the propaganda over trying to forge public documents and make sure put this government into bad light or into disrepute. Yes. Is such part of the PF agenda to discredit government?
I don't think that there's been any part from the part of PF to generate information in relation to aspects of propaganda for purposes of putting UPND into bad light. I don't think that has been the issue. You, just like me, are aware that information is gathered in different forms. You might just encounter information, people give you information, and ultimately what you do with that information is generally up to you, whether you would want to share that information with the general public, like it has happened even when UPND were in office. They would get information, they would share it with the public on social media. And basically that's what is happening also. You come across information, me as a politician, information, whether authentic or basically not authentic, at the end of the day, it's my responsibility to share with the public, to know, to show them. Now, the onus is not generally on me who is sharing the information. The onus is on the people that are insinuated that are the ones that have generated that letter. For example, if there's a letter that you think that has no any iota of truth in it, it's your responsibility. That's why you're in government. You have a government spokesperson. You have the filer, the director of information, who will be able to come on television and be able to assert and say, this is wrong information. Ideally, you have no problem. If you find that there's something wrong with the information that is being circulated, whether it's true or it's not true, we are expecting you to do the normal thing. Some of those individuals to appear. What happened in the case of Emmanuel Mwamba you're referring to? I mean, the rules of natural justice were not applied. Emmanuel Mwamba is a public figure. He's of fixed abode. He's someone who appears, in fact, on that material day, he had appeared in the morning, I think on Radio Phoenix. He was on a number of radio stations. If indeed the police wanted to use that tactic, they would have basically sent a summon, like a normal procedure. You put a summon that say, come and appear, we have some investigations we want to do. Just like any normal person like yourself, like myself. If there's something that the police feel is wrong and they want to do investigations, the normal way a normal human being would do, like the way we have understood, is a police procedure, is to give me a call out that I should appear at the police. We've done that in the past. What has changed? So maybe the rules have changed. We'd want to know whether the issues of call-outs have been suspended. Now, when people want to come and pick you, they'll just come and get you wherever you are, whether you're in the market, whether you are at the car wash, they'll just pick you. And that in itself, I think that we must condemn.
Others, especially those who are coming from the UPND circles, Mr. Refuka would argue to say, the PF used to do that.
Yeah, but Soko, you know that two wrongs don't make a right. That's the reason the PF were removed from power. They're no longer in power. If it was wrong then that the PF used to do that, then it should be wrong even now when the UPN do it. So you can't justify to say because PF used to do it, which I agree. Yes, in some circles.
They arrest you on Friday so that you stay over the weekend.
Yeah, but not in this prolonged detention of 10 days, 3 weeks. Someone is in the cells. Even these people are purportedly, allegedly, we have been told that they will be picked for whatever reasons. I know that the idea there is, they might not even have evidence there. Not that we're defending them, that they are right. Whatever the police want to find out, we must impede that information. That's not the position. The position is that I hope and pray that when you pick individuals, which hasn't been the case in our people that have been picked, that when they pick you, they arrest you, that's when they start doing investigations. It must be the opposite, that you must be picked after thorough investigation so that immediately you are charged. Some people, you just have to ask them that you give us the charges, and the police have to now start fishing for evidence to charge someone. That should not be the procedure. It was wrong under PF if it happened. It is wrong now. So whatever PF did when they were in power is the more reason the people of Zambia rejected them in 2021, that they said this was wrong. You arrest people, pick them there on a Friday like you have rightly alluded to, and then you keep them up to Monday. It is wrong. So if it is wrong, the Zambians must say it is wrong. The very voices that were there from our colleagues, the Americans, the British NGOs that were vocal that time when PF was in power, when they would do such kind of thing and they were condemned, should be the same voice that should follow when UPN do the same. So that ultimately we correct those wrongs so that we don't repeat the same mistakes that PF did.
Well, our dear viewers, you are watching the Breakfast Show Wednesday edition, Governance, Policy and Politics, and in conversation we have Mr. Edwin Lifrekelo from the Patriotic Front. He is the media director and is helping us discuss the topic of discussion of the day, which is themed, is it the rule of law or political persecution? This is emanating from the fact that the PF has been the major casualty pertaining to arrests that have been ongoing, especially as of recent months and weeks. And Mr. Rifegero just preempted to us that others who are earmarked for arrests include among them former Home Affairs Minister Stephen Kampyongo, and also former Defense Minister Davis Chama, as well as who is another former Defense Minister, GBM, is also a presidential hopeful for the opposition Patriotic Front. So, and in case you want to join the conversation this morning, you can do so and get to engage our guests and ask questions you think are pertinent to you. Going on with our conversation, Mr. Rifekero, I want to understand something. And congratulations, by the way, you are now the media director. And
I'm acting.
You are now acting, yes.
I'm acting media director.
But you are performing those functions.
Yes, please.
Yes. So
yes,
as the acting media director, want to now get your perspective. Your predecessor, while living, expressed serious concerns and pertaining to the PF, to say the PF is not. There has been no seriousness on the part of the Central Committee to make sure that the party holds a party convention, and that there are some individuals who are holding this party for a ransom, and that may be may make the party unable to hold its convention and unable to also be able to regroup and be ready for 2026 general election. What do you have to say about that?
Yes, unfortunately, yes, my predecessor, Director Antonio Mwanza, of course, has left. Sometimes it's very difficult to comment on your director of media after he had left. I'm having difficulties to comment on the departure of Antonio because Antonio generally was not a politician per se, because his status from the PF perspective is that he was a worker for the party.
Okay.
The fact that he was director media means he was employed by the institution, meaning that he had every right to decide whether to abdicate or whether to resign or to move to proceed with in the manner that he felt he needed to proceed to resign. And of course he said a number of things, but I think that in terms of procrastinating on the part of the PF as to whether there's a clique of individuals there at Patriotic Front who don't want to hold a convention, I don't think that from where I'm standing it could be true. Suffice to say that every one of us, from where we are standing, the positions that we hold, we have our own personal opinions. Generally, in a bigger political party like Patriotic Front, there are individuals with vested interest in the process. There are individuals where they are standing who feel we must hold the convention now. This is a true picture, because when we have a conversation among ourselves, there are people who feel we should have the conference now. There are people who feel, no, having a conference now might just be putting ourselves in trouble. Ultimately, even before we get into 2026, we might have challenges and trouble going by the rate the UPND government is running this country, ideally, in terms of that repressive man, in which they'll be able to deal with our candidates. So there are all those views. notwithstanding what others are thinking. From where I'm standing to date, I think that from Acting President Honorable Winda, the Acting Secretary General Nixon Chilangwa, from where they are standing, they are as anxious as every member that we must put this at our back of our mind and forget about the issue of convention and have it done and done with, so that we proceed. So ideally, from where I'm standing, I don't think that we want to allege that there's a clique of individuals that are procrastinating because they want to derail the process from where I am, from the leadership that is there now, that has taken the responsibility to act in the position. They want to move like yesterday so that we can have a president, a legitimate president that would have been elected by the people. And there are a number of issues that keep on coming about in the Walungu.
Before you get into Walungu there,
yes.
Let's get to this call. They want to add to our conversation this morning. You are through to the Camnet Breakfast Show. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, may we have your name and where you are calling us from, sir? Lusaka. All right, you can go ahead with your contribution.
Yeah, I'm very happy to hear the way the explaining. Excellent. But one thing we should know is that all those people who are lined up, who are reported to be picked, those people were public officers. They were public officers, and for that reason, when you are a public officer, expect your life to be spared. So when there will be peace and if those people are really clean, they are clean. They will come out clean. The way PS was arresting and the way the government is arresting, comparing those two, PS was really brutal. Look at the way the current president, the way he was picked. Last time when his house was ransacked, he had gassed. And more other people, political giving this case to his house. And he was treated like a common criminal. Look at the way the MP for the Shekel, the way he was picked and taken to another province. So many people were picked and bundled brutally. No one complained. So this PS guys should just hold up. The issue that a lot of people banned. And we saw some of the groups that said, we know who the jackals are. And today they are quiet and people want to be picked and patient. What is the problem? Let them hold up and be ready to be patient. Zambia should move forward and people should learn that when you are holding a public office, these public offices are not human. They are still. So people should be ready to answer. After that, how people were ministers. We saw those ministers doing business with the government. Even when they know that as a minister, you're not supposed to do business with government. So let those people own up and answer for those things that they do. If they are clean, they'll be moved. If they are wrong, let them say in truth. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that contribution. Mr. Rifukera, you were responding to that and you were going to issue pertaining to the ECL. Come back and you can add to his contribution as you respond. Yeah,
let me just make a reaction to the last caller. I think that, yes, I think that no one has disputed the fact that, yes, if you are wrong, if there's any element of truth, any iota of truth whatsoever, in people that are being investigated, yes, they will be subjected to those investigations. I think that that is not a problem with us from where we are standing. I think that the issue is that generally that corruption must not just be targeted generally at just basically individuals. Yes, they were public officers. The things that are happening now to our colleagues that could have served as ministers, permanent secretaries, is the same thing that will happen even when the UPND are out of office. So the Bible says, do unto others the way you want them to do unto you. The main reason why I said that if there was a wrong under PF, he was giving an example of how Akainde was arrested, how Honorable Kangombe was arrested. If it was wrong then, then it must be wrong now. But that's not justifiable, that because you did this to me, then I must also do that to you. That's not the way it operates. If the EPND want to operate on a clean slate, as they have said to the Zambian people, that to operate under the rule of law, it's better for them to also adhere to the same rule of law. Avoid the way we could have governed when we were in office, as in the many examples that have been given. But it has to start with the head of state himself to pronounce and create an environment that is peaceful. But if you're going to have a head of state that every time he's having a press conference and he says, I was almost killed, these guys wanted to kill me, I was locked, what do you think it's doing to your members? What are they thinking? They'll definitely be agitated. It's like in a home where you have a father who says, this neighbor of mine, every time I'm in this yard, is always harassing me and insulting me. Of course the children will rise and fight. So in order to create a peaceful environment, my appeal is that yes, those issues could have happened. Imagine what would have happened in Mandela and the manner that he was treated in the 27 years that he served in Robben Island as a prisoner. So when he became president, if he had started reminding the Boers that me when I was in prison I did ABCD, what do you think would have been reaction from the general South Africans? There would have been war there, bloodshed. So in order to avoid that acrimony, it's better that yes, you recognize that yes, this happened. Indeed, if you really want to lead differently from the way other people lead, then you have to set what you pronounce matters most. What you say matters most. In the people's minds, what I say, me as president, matters to me as a member. So if I'm agitating that it's okay because they wanted to kill me, these guys, the way they brutalized us, and that's basically your message to the people, this kind of brutality will never end. So the idea is that let's have this brutality out of our church must rise, they must speak. When something is wrong, the same way they spoke when we were in government as PF, it's the same way they must speak when something is wrong under UPND. There's nothing justifiable for anyone to say, because like the example the caller is giving, the way people were brutalized, the way they were done, yes, it was wrong. And I agree it was wrong. But then two wrongs don't make a right. So in order for us to create a peaceful environment, let's move that and see how our friends are governing so that they are also not putted out in 2026 by virtue of what is happening around the people of Zambia. Because you might do something to someone. You might arrest Kampiongo today, you might arrest Chama today, you arrest GBM tomorrow, and justifiably so, if there's evidence alluding the fact that yes, they could have made something wrong, they might be public officers who should be subjected to the same scrutiny like anybody else. It's the same law we're applying now. When UPND will be out of office, will be applied against the ministers, against the president and everybody else. So we don't want this going round in circles issue where everybody, now it's now becoming even dangerous. No one wants to be a president. Even me, if I'm thinking of being a president, I'm thinking that if I become president, well enough, I go in, coming out and persecuted. Also people are having second thoughts on the same. That now you become an endangered species if you become a president.
So the caller brought in, and maybe before I ask, we seem to have a caller on the line. Hello, good morning.
How are you, Mr. Soko?
Fine, and how are you, sir?
And congratulations, Mr. Cosby, you have come to the rightful channel, Camnet.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, this is John Mukuma from Livingston.
Please go ahead, Mr.
Go ahead, Mr. Mukuma.
Yes, Mamata Lusokelo, how are you?
Morning, how are you, sir?
You are the rightful director of media.
Thank you, sir, thank you.
Wonderful the way you articulate issues. That is the way. I want you people in patriotic front, God wants you to come back to 2026. But the problem that you are having is you do not have wisdom of how to go about it in the midst of all this adversity. You are just crying. You must not do that. There is a way. And you need people, elders, with wisdom to advise you to do the right path of success into 2026. He will allow you to pass through adversity so that you learn. But as for this time, God allows these our colleagues to come to power, so they are known. And then you to go out and you are coming back. But you don't know how to come back. That is the problem. So you need the elders. You need people to advise you. So don't cry, my brother. It is fine. Things will be done. I may not be a patriotic son. I am an ordinary citizen. As you know, from the beginning up to now, we always analyze things in reality. And the reality is, you are coming back. 2026. People are suffering. Things are not okay. God bless you.
There you have it. That was Mr. Jones Mukuma there giving us his perspective. But his opinion is that the PF needs to sit down with elders. You are lacking wisdom, Mr. Ifeke. He's just advising you there.
I'm very grateful for that input. But ideally, this country does not just belong to Patriotic Front. I think that Patriotic Front is basically an institution. We have a lot of stakeholders when it comes to leadership. And our brother from Livingstone, who is saying we lack advice, it could be one of those people that could come on board and offer that advice. Our party is open. We are not cast in stone. The door. We have an open door policy. Ultimately, anyone that wants to come and participate in our political dispensation, they are free to do so. But ideally, we are rebranding, and this is the reason why we are going to the convention, to elect leadership, to fill in vacancies that people left. So there will be casualties along the way, and I agree that yes, even those that have become presidents in this country, they've gone through a lot of panel beating, because basically that's how the spiritual aspect happens, that first of all you have to be panel beaten. You can never get ascend into a position on smooth sailing route where ultimately you don't even know what suffering is, you don't even know what this means. So probably that's what it has been in the past. So ideally, our appeal from where we are standing is that yes, along the way there will be diversity, there will be different opinions from different people that will give their own input. We might be misunderstood along the way. But I think that the leadership of the party that is currently there, that has been left by President Gachagua, as he took the back seat, and maybe to allude to President Gachagua, you were trying to push an agenda, saying maybe I must comment on that. The way the scenario is at the moment is that you know very well that even the departure of President Galungu was done in haste. Immediately we lost power, President Galungu called all of us and said that he was taking sabbatical leave. So as far as we are concerned, he said that he will not be in active politics. The problem that is there is not about President Gachagua. The problem there is the constitution of the party. The constitution of the party stipulates and guides that when the president leaves, he must hand over to, the party must have a general conference, which we are doing now, that we should have this conference. At that particular time, that's when President Gachagua shall come. So there is a distinction now, and we are treading almost on thin lines, in the sense that people want to see President Gachagua Lungu hibernate completely from the political scene, which can't happen. Because currently, if you ask me who is the current president of PF, it's the President Gachagua Lungu, because the only thing he has done is to appoint acting President Lubinda and Secretary General Chilangu, acting Secretary General Chilangu. In real sense, the President Gachagua Lungu is still holding on to the party. Not until we have the convention and we elect a leadership of the party. That's when now all these acting positions would have faded.
But what is the conflict there? Because we are also taking too long toward this
No, we are not taking
the
too long.
The conflict now, Mr. Rikogero, is on the aspect of the national constitution, which requires that the president should not be active in politics, or he may risk relinquishing his benefits.
I agree totally. That's where the problem is, and that's the complications. that have come with this haste convention that we want to have. On the one hand, the president has resigned, he's taken a back seat, he's on sabbatical leave, rightly so. On the other hand, the constitution is also directing him that he cannot get his benefits as long as he remains in active politics. So how do you separate the two? You can't elect a president in a vacuum. Ultimately, something has to happen, that we have to elect a president at the convention. We're not taking too long. Ideally, I think that when we lost power in 2021, there was the aspect of doing an introspection in terms of ensuring that we made sure that all the structures were in place. Today, in our current position, if we decided tomorrow to hold a convention, I don't know who are the members of our structures. Just as much as I know that most of our members are intact, I'm also aware that a number of our members have also migrated to other political parties. So we need to do an introspection, do an evaluation. Our members intact, our structures intact. So ideally, the party currently is going through that process of ensuring that we make sure that the members that go to the convention are the legitimate members. What stops me as a member if tomorrow you hold a convention and I'm not so sure about the delegates who have come to that convention? I would go and cry foul, and through litigation, people might just claim that the delegates were doctored.
But why did you do the audit?
This is 2 years.
No. The process of auditing already started. The process of amending the constitution is what is currently going. Mind you, you know very well that even among the 9 presidential candidates that applied, because of the deficiency of the party constitution, which ourselves have recognized that it was not up to date. It needed repealing, it needed amending to bring it up to speed with the current dispensation. Currently, we are doing the amendment of the constitution, refining the constitution. The last central committee finalized, there was consensus built in order to come with a rightful constitution that we think that will be a right constitution for us to approve. We were supposed to meet last week as central committee, but we decided that we would defer that to another date, which will definitely be announced as and when we are meeting as central committee, so that now we can approve the amended constitution. Once the amended constitution is done, we set the date for the convention, which we are doing.
Is the money for the holding of the convention intact? Because we understand that the candidates were compelled to pay a substantial amount of money, and that was also to help in terms of mobilizing or undertaking the entire process of the convention.
The money for part of the money for the convention, maybe so to speak, because the money the candidates paid as candidates, the 200,000 you are referring to.
Yes.
That cannot seriously be cannot manage toward the convention. I think you are aware that from our interaction with the party leadership, they have put it to the public that we require almost about 5 million, 7 million kwacha to hold the convention. That money you are talking about, of the 9 candidates who paid 200,000 kwacha, you are talking about 1,200,000 kwacha, which is not enough for the convention. That money is intact, of course. Yes, there were assertions that the money has been stolen from the 9, but we all know that somebody doctored a statement that was done by Chairman of Information Nakashinda, who was saying, yes, there are insinuations, money has been stolen from the Secretariat. They just picked that voice recording that money has been stolen from the convention, and that was what was circulating on social media. Someone wanted to do some propaganda on it, but I am at the Secretariat. The money that the candidates paid, the 200,000 kwacha, is intact, but we know that it's not sufficient, and we continue to raise resources. We continue to speak to our members so that we can have that money. We don't want to have an haphazard convention for the sake of pleasing you and many others who want us to have the convention
because
for the sake of having it.
It's too much, Mr.
No, 2 years is not enough.
I mean, the money involved is also too much.
No. Yeah.
Because now, imagine it's a small party. I want to understand. Then the politics in Zambia is too expensive.
But NOPF is not a small political party.
It's a big political party,
yes.
I understand. But looking at the money involved now.
There's a the issues of, there are many methodologies that are being...
But now things have, they have changed. You can also hold digital conferences.
No.
And make sure that you probably don't refer everybody to the area.
The issue really is that other than organizing the resources, other than putting a caveat of how much money that we require to hold that convention, there are a lot of submissions that have been made by our members, including those that are interested in this convention, who have given their own input in terms of how we must proceed. The issues that you're alluding to, that we can digital, so we can still hold virtual meetings with regard to the convention, all those are options. We haven't taken any options out from the table. All those are part of the options. But I think we need to do the right thing first. And the right thing is that let's deal with the Constitution so that we don't have any deficiency in the Constitution, so that everybody is in tune with what is happening. When we are done with the Constitution, which I know that is, we are doing that soon. I'm sure when we meet at the next Central Committee, we'll be able to deal with that. And we'll set the date for.
Let me also take advantage of your presence, Mr. Rifekelo, and ask you this particular question. There has been an allegation that this maneuver to subject it to remake requests to others to support the holding of the convention is just a ploy to avoid targeting members, because others say some of the presidential candidates have the capability of sponsoring the entire convention.
That's basically an insinuation being made that others have got.
But they are afraid that when they start saying that they have pledged this much money, they may be followed by the SEC.
But common knowledge is in terms of being logical. Even if yes, you can make an assumption that yes, it could be members. But is it the party's money? I think it's individual money, and it's up to those individuals in person to either say that I will sponsor the convention or not. That's not the decision for the party to make. But ideally, yes, we must also tread carefully, knowing very well what is happening around us.
Let's pick this call. Hello, you are through to the Camnet Breakfast Show. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, sir. You can give us your name and where you are calling us from.
Okay, this is Mr. Mansa from Solwezi.
Mr. Mansa from Solwezi. You can go ahead with your contribution, sir.
Thank you, sir. Good morning, Mr. Kotel.
Good morning, Mr. Mwanza. How are you this morning?
Very well, thank you. And good morning, the panelists.
Good morning, sir.
Okay, just woken up and I found this program. Mr. Rifekelo, so good that you've been featured this morning on Camnet. I just want to put a few facts around you. That PFID is one of the biggest opposition parties that Gambia has. And as such, it is expected to provide sound checks and balances to the current government in order for Gambians to enjoy good governance. And you stand a better chance, sir, to break history. Trust you, we are on the ground here. You stand a better chance of retaining power. And if what you can do your mathematics very, very well, of quickly choosing who leads the party, and so that you begin to sell that person to the nation. The sooner you do that, sir, and set up all those runways, the better for the party. You are the hope for Zambia currently. And so please, this opportunity, I cherish it. I've been looking forward to how do we convey such messages to you people up there. You can say to your matters as soon as possible. People are crying because now they have an opportunity to compare UPND and PF. Then it was difficult because UPND was not accorded an opportunity to run the nation. So now they are putting the two boards together. And you stand a better chance. The appeal is quickly work around the issue of who takes over, who stands, if it is who announced, if it is GDM or whoever. The sooner you do that, the better somebody begin to move forward. the Gambians may give you a second chance. Good morning.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much,
Let me pick it up from Mr. Monsa, Mr. Lifenge. The caller from Livingston also mentioned that you need advice as a party.
Yes.
And when Patrick told you about the period that you are taking to go to the convention, he said you're not in haste. Just to please Patrick or me or others.
Yes.
But look, it is coming out like this. You should not take it like PF belongs to the secretariat. And the general membership. Mr. Mansa says you are taking too long also to come up with a leader. You stand a very good chance of coming back in 2026, but you don't have somebody you are saying up to now, 2 years down the line. You only have 2 years to go. And we don't know how long it will take before we are not certain.
I know. No, I'm totally obliged to a submission made by Mr. Mansa, including your solid views on this matter. When I said that not in a hurry, was based on the fact that we don't want to aggregate an illegality where you know that you are doing things in haste in terms of just rushing for the sake of having the convention. We are mindful, we are cognizant of the fact that yes, we need to move with speed. But in moving with speed, we don't want to crash. We want a situation where ultimately you and me, where you are standing, that yes, PF having a convention, and rightly so in terms of insulating all the legal perspective of the process. We want to be on board on that aspect. So yes, we could have taken time. We could have procrastinated along the way. And you know, even the movement of President Edgar Chagalungu when he announced his resigning was just done. And then it was just done in haste. He announced, and then all of a sudden we're running around like headless chickens trying to put things in perspective. Where we are because of that procrastination. So going forward, I can assure the Zambian people that from where I'm standing, despite the fact that yes, 2 years down the line we're still debating on the same process, we are keen like everybody else. We are desirous like everyone else. Our wish is that if all being equal, tomorrow we'll have the convention. So we are dealing with the constitution with speed. And immediately after that, you'll see the process will expedite as quickly as possible so that we accommodate. Yes, there's also the aspect of ensuring that whoever you pick, you have to take that candidate around the country. Only goodness is that most people know those candidates already, those that have applied. But we should also not rule out, I'm just speaking from the spiritual perspective, that yes, you might have 9 candidates there. The possibility that anyone can spring from anywhere, the fact that yes, the party does not belong to secretariat, it means that anyone, according to our constitution, even 24 hours before filing in of nomination, anyone can file in nomination. You might have just someone outside the box applying. So the fact that yes, we'll pick a candidate who legitimately people say now they have a candidate, and the idea of having a president there is that once you have a president there, it also brings confidence in the process. That you also, even those people that want to support you and give resources will look at that individual and say, now we have an individual. So they look at the individual, they look at the institution, and they'll be able to channel resources. So at the moment, people don't even know where to place their resources because they're not so sure who will be president at the end of the day. I totally agree with that, but I want to assure the nation through you that we are indeed expediting the process, and in due time, we'll be able to have this convention.
Do you have a timeline, like this year may...
Yes.
This year, or
we have,
it is in perpetuity?
No, there's nothing in perpetuity. We have a timeline in the sense that yes, the Central Committee will be meeting either this week or next week. We should be meeting to approve or adopt the amended constitution. Immediately after that, I think on that same very meeting, a pronouncement will be made to set a time frame when we can have the convention. Remember, a time frame was already set. It's not the first time we are deferring the convention. Remember when President Lungu announced that he's taken sabbatical leave, we had already made a pronouncement announcement on the date that was stipulated, which we didn't adhere to. In the process, there have been processes, and you know very well that we don't want to fall into that trap. Proceeding with any issues of talking about this and even adhering and even moving into action to do that with the court issues hanging on our head. You know that mouse samples issue hasn't been taken out of the courts.
Because also, most case we understand it emanates from the fact of this protracted
it emanates from, no, there wasn't delay in any way. The mouse samples issue was, there was a suspension. He was suspended.
Because he preempted something that the party does not want to hold a convention, which we covered during a press conference. And the following day, the party is not happy with what Sampa is saying.
I think Mao's Sampa, without going back to what he said, was other than talking about a convention, there were a number of issues that he addressed at that meeting, which we felt as a party that were bordered on gross indiscipline. I think we've just picked part of the convention because he alluded to the convention that we were delaying, but there were a number of issues he talked about, which we thought that as a child of a house where you belong, you can't start throwing tantrums and throwing, and we felt that it was wrong. Just like any political party, we're an institution that must instill discipline. So having said that, he's in court. So when the matter is disposed of, so we are trading. We have continued to meet, but also trading that the matter must.
Interesting enough, are you aware that, for instance, political parties like the UNIP, the Movement for Multi-Party Democracy, the Democratic Party, most of them are no longer viable as they should, including the NDC that was led by Mr. Kambwili, are no longer that viable because of these court processes. Is the PF privy to that fact?
No.
That you may even end up to 2026 with these court cases?
No. We are privy to that kind of procrastination by those that are dealing with the matter, because we know that every time you go to court, they'll tell you the matter has been deferred to another. They're buying time. Of course, we know that someone somewhere is pulling the strings, so that you continue going to court and eventually time is passing. Basically, that's a ploy. We are aware about that. So the sooner where we are standing, we instill confidence in those that still have confidence in the party, which we think that people have done enough comparisons to what is happening, and we will clean up whatever cobwebs that are there. We will proceed. But our prayer is that this matter should be discarded as quickly as possible so that we proceed. We are aware that yes, even other political parties are afraid to have died a natural death because they were in court 4 years down the line, there was an election and they were gone. We are aware about that. So we have tried, mind you, other people have asked us to say, why are you not talking to Miles? Is it not one of your members? Can't you just talk and deal with this issue internally, amicably, as a family? That route has been taken. We've engaged Miles a number of times. People have been sent to speak, but when you have made up your mind that you're not part of the institution, it goes without saying that you will continue moving along that path of destruction, because you just told yourself you're not part of that. You speak that yes, it's because it's about the convention, but there could be different agenda in perspective. So ideally, we are aware about those interests. But our prayer is that from where we are standing, we are praying that this process will be expedited as quickly as possible so that we can have this convention and we elect our leadership, bona fide leadership that will be accepted by the Zambian people. That's basically where we are at the moment.
Interesting. Let's get your concluding remarks, Mr. Fekero.
My concluding remarks is to the members of the party. I want to speak to the members of the party that yes, from where you are standing, you might not be privileged to know what's happening internally. From where I'm standing, I want just to appeal to you that the party remains adamant that we deal with this process quickly, and then put a leadership there that will give confidence to you as members. We know our structures, by and large, all our structures are intact. The only message they are waiting for is for us to have a leader and for us to just tell them that now we can move and this is the direction we are taking. So we appeal them to remain a little bit patient because the process is almost done, and appeal also to the Zambia Police Service that this kind of repressive approach which they've taken, arbitrarily making arrests on our members, and with impunity just because when PF was in power, exactly the same thing happened. I think that the police must be very cognizant that in future they might just be the people that might be put on the chopping board in terms of being taken to court, because this time we can't take government to court. You take individuals that are arbitrarily abusing the law. It has happened before where police officers have been taken to police, like now, when the Manuel Mwamba issue, there are people that a complaint has been made, and those people will be answered and subjected to the very law that are abrogated. So we just want to appeal that let things be done accordingly and true to the message that the President has given the Zambian people, that he wants to rule by the law. Let him govern by the rule of law and not govern by the whims because you want to punish people because you suffered at the hands of the same people. It's not justifiable. And we want to create an environment that is peaceful for all of us so that we can coexist among political parties, and even to opposition political parties, that let us unite. This is not a battle for PF. It's a battle for Zambia. It's a battle for all of us. So we are in it together. So let's support each other and unite as a team. And if people are thinking, which I know, the UPND, they are thinking that if PF dies today, they need to be plain sailing in 2026. Then I think they are totally wrong. Because Zambian people, from where I'm standing, even if PF was annihilated tomorrow and eradicated from the political scene, there will be another political party that will emerge, where all our members who are intact are waiting for the leadership will galvanize themselves and support that individuals. And we might end up having just a president there. If you kill PF, someone will emerge. It might be Harry Kalava there. It might be Sean Tembo. It might just be anyone, because the people of Zambia have suffered enough. The high cost of living is extremely high. All they want is redemption, to have someone there who can speak for them. So we're appealing to the Zambians to remain focused and remain resilient. With this battle, we are in it together.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lifakelo. We really do appreciate your time, and we hope that we continue interacting.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to have been invited. Please continue to invite us. Our office are open. The office of the media director is open. So don't hesitate to come through. Even without inviting me on this program, you are free to come through so that we can work as a team.
So that is the acting media director from the Patriotic Front, Mr. Edwin Lifakelo, who was talking to us as regards issues surrounding the political party, which is the Patriotic Front. On that note, we take a short break, and when we come back, we will continue the program.
Cabbages, onions, maize, potatoes, tomatoes, chilies.
Water is life. Each drop counts, and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. Renglow, your smart irrigation partner.
The FARS 2022-2023 season is over, and the 2023-2024 season is around the corner. Camnet Stars Football Club, popularly known as the local national team, is looking for young talented football players from across Zambia, aged between 16 and 23 years old. Camnet soccer trials will be held on the 30th of June and the 1st of July 2023 in Lusaka at 09 hours. The venue is Kabulonga Boys Secondary School grounds. Your skills could earn you a place in the world of soccer greats in Zambia and the world. Camnet Stars Football Club, the local national team, is a team born for greatness with visionary players. Let us join hands and contribute to high levels of Zambian football standards. Don't miss these trials. The future of Zambian soccer is dependent on you. Make a date with us. Remember, you are born for greatness. See you there.
Thank you very much. You are still on a Camnet Breakfast Show, and we are almost coming to the end of this particular program. But before we go, Patrick, there's one issue that I wanted us to quickly look at. It is the issue of the Football Association of Zambia, FARS, having banned Nkana Football Club for a season from playing at home, and they must play from a venue which is about 60 kilometers away from Kitwe, and they've also been fined a 50,000 kwacha for crowd violence that erupted when they played Power Dynamos at the Arthur Davis Stadium in April of this year, where we saw some people getting injured.
Yeah, exactly. You can see how violent they are, and even there you can see the images there. Speak for themselves.
Speak for themselves.
Do you need catapults at the football pitch for what? So,
but you see,
at Reformed New Kenya Club now, no more devils but angels, highly favored by God. These are the banners. These banners also come up with, they are penalized.
Yes.
So when they come back to the pitch, they try to show remorse and say we have repented, But it emanates from the failure to just control or manage your fans. I know these fans. I know that fans have patrons, have the people who lead the fans.
Yes, sure.
So it is their job to make sure that they manage the fans. You understand now? You see, this is a costly penalty which they have been given.
But personally, I think that it is not even enough for hooliganism in football, for violence in football. I think this punishment is not even enough. Because what I feel is that wherever Nkana Red Devils should be playing, they should play behind closed doors. They should not be allowed to bring in their fans. For a season, this will teach them.
I like your perspective.
Yes, look, if you punish Nkana today to say you play 60 kilometers away from Kitwe,
the fans will find their way with it, because they even come to Lusaka.
They travel to Choma, Nkana fans. So Nkana fans are all over. Nkana is a big club. Remember, this is the club that is most successful in Zambian football as regards the league titles. It has 11. So it has a huge fan base in the country. The only problem is that this fan base is violent. This is not the first time that we've heard that Nkana is getting involved in violence at the stadium. So for me, I think a better punishment would have been taking them maybe even to Livingstone, to Mongo, if there's a stadium there, or to Chipata, if there's
yes.
You play your home games in Chipata under closed doors. Nobody will be allowed to come and watch you when you are playing your home games in Chipata.
But do you know why I think they did so? It's for commercial purposes, because probably the sponsors of the match who are televising these games, they want fans to be at those games, because it's like showing a game without fans. You understand? So, but for me, like you were saying, the better option was like they also compelling them to play outside their jurisdictions and be able to allow fans to be part of that match.
Sure.
Like if you are a Nkana fan, you don't have you won't be allowed entry to the venue.
And you put it right when you said that these fans, they don't just, they have people that look at them. They have patrons, supporting Nkana Supporters Club Association of Lusaka, or Nkana's Club of Kitwe, Nkana's Supporters Club of wherever. They must have people that know their people to say, no, our group is that one which is singing from there, and the stones were being thrown. Gentlemen, who was throwing stones on the pitch? This in Europe, you ban individuals. Say you were misbehaving.
You never watch a match.
Yes, so you go and you never come back to the stadium.
I think we need to get serious.
And a 50 kwacha is just a 50,000 kwacha. It's just 5 Jerabos who come together
and pay that money.
Yes. Because Nkana is a huge team. It has a huge following. How many people need to come together and put together a 50,000 kwacha? And then the other punishment was that no, they will have to bear the costs of the medical expenses that Wulaya, that Green Eagles player incurred when he was going for. I mean, when a player is beaten, a Green Eagles player is beaten at the stadium, are you sure he's going to go to the hospital and say no? Never come number. Obviously, the club will take the player and obviously even take him to their own hospital.
Yes, and yeah.
So for me, I think the punishment is not as harsh as it should.
I think the punishment. My assumption would be that the punishment was taken with commercial interest.
Oh, yeah?
So it was not conclusive in that it was not it was not that punitive because it's 60 kilometers.
It's Chingola.
Yeah, so they are able to maneuver around that. It's just a move.
60k is Cabo. Cabo, is it even 60? Is it not even too far?
So
from Kitwe.
So yeah, really the punishment is not a punishment at all. Yeah, if there's such a thing.
Yeah, because from Kitwe to Ndola is about 50 kilometers. So Cabo is way over the 60 kilometers, and I think they can still play on the Copper Belt. They can still find a town on the Copper Belt where they can play from, which is 60 kilometers away. And Copper Belt is just, Nkana is a big team. It's just still home. You can't say let them go and play in Chingola at Inchanga Stadium and think that at Inchanga Stadium. No. I think the punishment should have been a little bit stiffer. But anyways, we are coming to the end of the program. Patrick?
Interesting. So, our dear viewers, this is where we have to call it a day on the Camnet Breakfast Show, Wednesday edition, governance, policy, and politics. It has been me, your usual host, who loves you the most, Patrick Soko and Makoko Kozi. And tune tomorrow when we come with another interesting episode of the Camnet Breakfast Show. Remember to always keep it on Camnet TV because we have effective and good programming just for you and especially you, our dear viewers. And in the afternoon around 12 hours, we'll be back with the lunchtime cafe where we get to update you on events that are happening as they are taking place, and we get to inform you on some of the stories that will be in our menus. We also take you back and remind you of what used to happen in the past on this day by recording some of the stories in Forgotten Stories, and we give you, our dear viewers, a chance to react on the viewers' reactions. So quite a reloaded day for us here on Camnet TV, and we'll continue to enjoy your company. Just make sure that you keep it on this dial, that's on DSTV channel 274, Go TV channel 25, and on Topstar on channel 106 rather. Remember to always reach us on our social media platforms, being Facebook and YouTube, and we always stream our programs there. Leave us a like and leave us that message and leave us that comment, because we'll gladly go through and check it out. It may be a news hint, and we'll make that follow up. This is where we have to excuse the screen. Remember to keep it on Camnet TV, because Camnet TV is not just another channel.